welcome to Colleagues Getting Coffee. My name is Annelies James, and today I'm enjoying a warm beverage.
A warm beverage, because I don't like coffee, but I love tea.
Same here, with Michael Kurn.
Hello.
Hi. We are actually at Eastleigh Football Club today, which is where it all started for you.
Yeah.
Tell us more about that.
One of the couple of places it all began. So I was very lucky about, well, it must be like 10 years ago nearly now. Got involved with the football club, just hosting pitchside. At the time there was about 250 people, maybe one man and his dog as well, coming to watch EC play. And then I was really lucky when Stuart Donald took over the football club. There was an opportunity to come and do my thing pitchside. So, you know, delivered the same show that I'd deliver at Old Trafford or at St Mary's. You know, we did a crossbar challenge at half time and pre-match activities. That kind of grew, and over the course of like a season and a half we developed it, and you know, this stadium's amazing now. You know, Stuart's left an amazing legacy. Obviously now goes and he owns Sunderland, but you know, Kenny Amor and the team here that now run it have continued the legacy, and they've done an amazing job this season, and the club continues to go forward. And you know, I'm very lucky that I'm still kind of involved here as well in some way. But this is where, yeah, the squeaky kind of 21, 22-year-old was on the microphone going, "Hi everyone, in goal number one." But yeah, it's quite cool because I wanted to play. So the fact that I had the chance to do this was quite exciting.
So you mainly speak.
Yes.
What else do you do?
Quite a lot. I did a talk in London on Tuesday, and I said I was that annoying kid at school that did a little bit of everything.
Yeah.
You know,
we were talking about this off camera.
Yeah.
Being a multiple potentialist.
Yes, there's
lots of different stuff.
There's quite a lot of multiples, and it's kind of balancing them and getting them right. But I'm quite lucky that they all pretty much evolve around the same thing of presenting and communicating, which I think which I'm very lucky to be able to do. So yeah, there's multiple things. So obviously there's the presenting with the football and sport, which I'm very blessed. I've had some amazing opportunities and done a Hockey World Cup, I've done Olympic Games, Commonwealth Games.
It's a nice vibrant area to work in as well, because everyone's sort of hyped up, they're ready, they're there for their best, that sort of stuff.
Completely.
Because we've both done the ABP Marathon now.
Yes,
Yay!
love that, so much fun.
And the energy is amazing.
Yeah.
Just people in their zone, and people are upbeat, they want to be entertained.
No, they certainly do, and you know, I'm just about to go and do the Cricket World Cup, which is amazing, and get to do 4 games at Hampshire, 1 at Lords, 1 at Cardiff, so that's amazing. And again, you know, Hampshire cricket's been a part of my journey as well, so to be able to host the World Cup there is pretty special as well. So we've got that.
Love it.
I've got my book, Desire, Dream, Vision, which is my motivational philosophy. So it's basically all the lessons that I've learned along the way and all the plans that I've put in place to achieve the dream.
I'm going to tap your head open for some of those in a minute.
No, please do, please do. So we've got that, which is amazing, and I go and share that message in schools quite a lot, and we're slowly breaking that into business as well. I've got my business networking group, which is again evolves around those desire, dream, vision philosophies, and I just like do so much stuff. I love to wake up and enjoy myself, so a bit of musical theatre and trying to break back into that a little bit, but yeah, I'm just still that annoying kid at school that does a little bit of everything. Kind of, you know, they say jack of all trades, master of none, but I think I'm slowly mastering a few of them.
Yeah,
so
100%.
Yeah.
Well, I think, why should you limit yourself? I think, like you said, if it's born of passion, you wake up in the morning, you love your life, that is the driver you need. Completely. So actually one day it might be speaking, next day it might be some give back, whatever, but if another opportunity presents itself and you're like, that'll make me happy, I'm going to do that.
And I think that happy word's really like important. I did a speech in London on Tuesday, and one of the questions was, you know, I've had quite a few knockbacks throughout my career. I'll kind of make a bit of progress, and all of a sudden the carpet will get pulled away. It happened all the time when I first started, because I began in a really interesting time for local radio where everything was starting to be nationalised, and it's just happened again now. You know, I've got a few colleagues that work for Heart and Capital, and you know, those shows have gone, and now everything's nationalised. You know, which from a business perspective I understand and get, because from a business mind you're like, well, that's clever, why am I paying all these presenters when I can do this? But then from a presenter perspective, I kind of think, wow, okay, you're taking away that little bit of localness. So when I first started about 10, 12 years ago, that was what was happening. You know, I worked at, you know, Original 106 and did 20 odd weeks work experience. They were going to give me a job, and then they pulled the rug from under that and said, oh, we've just been sold. Screen test for ESPN, they got sold to BT Sport the next day.
It's about knockbacks though, and I think business is actually about resilience much more than anything else.
No, it is, and the big thing for me is that my target has always been happiness. I'm very lucky with what I get to do, and I believe everyone's got a gift. It doesn't matter what it is. You know, lots of people think it's running, dancing, singing, acting, being famous. Like, being famous isn't a gift, it's just a byproduct of what your skill is. But everyone's got something. It might be art, they might be good at maths, they might be good at management. Everyone's got something they're good at, and
or
it makes them tick.
Maybe multiple things.
And exactly, multiple things as well. And for me, my thing has been with my gift of being able to communicate and present and bring people together is it's very transferable. So it's not just necessarily about being a TV presenter. It can be motivational speaking, it can be being in a show, it can be hosting charity events, it can be doing give back. But my ultimate aim and my life career goal is happiness. Wake up every day and do something you love.
I was talking to someone yesterday, actually, a coach, and I said, you know, life is kind of like a statue that's not totally realised yet, and you're kind of, through your life, you're constantly sort of chipping off those little imperfections to make it perfect. And it's a learning thing, isn't it? It's the resilience, it's these opportunities, exploring new avenues, you know, trying, testing, seeing what works. But if you're propelled by love and enjoyment and happiness, I don't think you can go wrong, really.
You can't, and you've got to fail. Like there's a really cool quote that I saw on Instagram a little while ago, and it said that failure is not the opposite of success, it's part of success. You have to fall over to learn to walk. And you know, I've had a bit of a tricky moment at the minute with one of my big contracts, which isn't being renewed next year, and you know, you can look at it and go and feel sorry for yourself for months on end and think, oh no, you know, what am I going to do? Well, you just go, look, okay, it's happened. Appreciate the moment you've had. I've had 5 amazing years. I've learned so much. I've developed so many contacts, and well, how can I use this to push me to the next level? It's you know, positivity is key in that resilience.
Isn't it? You know, you can look at it. It's about mindsets, positive or negative. I think failure is absolutely part of the process. Yeah,
I enjoy failure. I sometimes achieve the most when I'm actually failing, when the wheels are starting to come off.
Because you have to think harder, and you have to find solutions quicker, and you have to be more resourceful.
I think when it's going well as well, it's not easy to find excuses, but when things are going well, it's easy to put a little something off, and yes, it's just a little something, but lots of little things add up to be a big thing.
And you can just become complacent.
Yeah, massively. You know, and you know, I've had amazing 5 years. Could I have harnessed stuff more? Yes, but I guess I put certain eggs in a certain basket to kind of push that avenue. But it's a good life lesson in the sense of, you know, eggs in a basket. You know, yes, at times you need to put them all in one, or majority of them in one, but actually, can you spread them a little bit more and actually tee yourself up for, you know, when one of the baskets does fall over and all the eggs smash, you've got somewhere else to go.
Got another little secret stash of eggs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just constantly keep laying new ones.
I love it. So, DDV book.
Yes.
What's it all about? What are your tips?
So, Desire, Dream, Vision for me is more than me, and it's quite interesting because people see the front cover of the book and it's kind of got this
like a
image of me, but it's got no face. And everyone's like, why? Well, I don't get it. And I'm like, well, it's not about me. This book in Desire, Dream, Vision is bigger than me. I had a really cool conversation with someone the other day, and it was amazing. It was on a complete social event, so it wasn't even like a business thing. And they were saying that basically we all have this urge inside us, whether we know it or not, it's subconscious, it's in there, that we all want like a statue of ourselves or a road named after ourselves. It's human nature that all of a sudden, if you are successful at something, whether you want it or not, there is something in your mind as human nature that wants that recognition. And for me, someone said, is that what DDV is for you? And I was like, no, completely not. And that's why the image is faceless on the front, because DDV can be you.
100%.
So my long-term aim with that is that there are going to be people that have read the book and are inspired by the philosophies that then go out and do their own Desire, Dream, Vision talks. It's bigger than me. So, you know, the whole idea came from just my philosophy that I've put in when I played football, and I've then got into the presenting stuff of, you know, whatever you want in life, if you want it bad enough, you can get it. You've just got to desire it, dream about it, and visualize it. And I was inspired very young from the Muhammad Ali quote that champions aren't made in gyms, made from something deep inside, a desire, a dream, and a vision. You've got to have the skill and the will, but the will must be stronger than the skill. So you could be the most skillful person at sport or singing, dancing, acting, whatever it is. At maths, you could be the best mathematician ever. But if you haven't got the will to achieve that goal and ambition, you're never going to get there. I grew up playing football with some amazingly talented footballers that haven't made it because they didn't have the willpower to fight that rejection and that pushback. So for me, Desire, Dream, Vision is a way of inspiring people to follow that dream. Doesn't matter how big or small it is. I do talks in schools, and you get, you know, kids come up saying, oh my God, I kind of didn't know where I wanted to go, but I think I've got an idea now, but the questions that it asks have now helped them. And then I get teachers come up to me saying, oh, I've just been thinking about, you know, moving house and getting a mortgage, and actually what you've said is so transferable. You know, predominantly, yes, the book is aimed at like 16 to 30 year olds, but it's accessible to anyone. You know, it talks about having a plan, what are you prepared to sacrifice, you know, what are your short-term, medium, long-term goals, you know, what are you prepared prepared to? Are you scared of failure? If you've got a fear of that, are you prepared to harness opportunity? And it asks questions throughout it. So it doesn't matter if you're at the very beginning of your journey, or halfway through, or you've nearly completed it, or you're about for a new challenge. It really is accessible to anyone, and it asks those questions. So fingers crossed, that will become a legacy, and Desire Dream Vision will become something massive. We want to set up a foundation in the next 12-18 months that we can then put percentage of the profits from the book back into that, and then fund people to help them achieve their dream, and support good causes and charities. And
it's amazing because you do speaking, but actually it's a lot about questions. And
completely.
Asking the right questions to the right people to make people think, to help them to explore themselves or showcase themselves effectively.
Completely.
It's actually a real skill to ask questions, because quite often people are making statements, they're telling all the time, telling, selling, that sort of stuff. But asking key questions is absolutely fundamental. So
important, and it's one of the main obviously presenting really is obviously asking those right questions, but listening as well. It's really important. Like, not everyone has the answer to everything. My business network group, we've got DDV Connect. I've got my own networking group at 28, 29 years old. And I stand up at the front every meeting and I say, right, our theme is this meeting. These are some things I want you to think about. And I don't stand up there and profess that I know the answer to everything. We've done sessions about, we did multiple income streams, and is your business too reliant on one stream? I'm not a financial expert, but what I stood up at the front and I said, look, these are some questions of things that might affect you. If all of a sudden one of your revenue streams dried up, how would you deal with it? I don't know what the answer to that question is, and I at the time didn't really know the answer to the questions myself. But I think that's what's really important, is that if you can ask those questions of yourself and other people, I think you then create a group of people and an environment where you're all prepared to learn.
You're facilitating, aren't you, rather than leading? And I think you're also tapping into that peer-to-peer learning, because I think in the business community I come across the people who are unsuccessful in my mind are the people who know the answers already. They never ask themselves a question because they know it all.
You've got to ask yourself questions. You've got to challenge yourself as well. We live in a social media world where if you were to go onto my Instagram now, you would see pictures of cars, pictures of golf, you would see pictures of football, pictures of nice holiday locations. You wouldn't see things and pictures of things that would challenge my thought process. And that's what we don't do enough. And I think actually it's a really important life skill of asking yourself questions, is to challenge yourself. With the whole, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention the B word on colleagues getting coffee, but the whole Brexit thing, there's so many people
we'll bleep it out.
Okay, we'll bleep it, sorry. But the problem with the whole Brexit thing is that there are so many people with an opinion, which is great because it's so important to have an opinion if you haven't got one. But the problem is that there are some people that are so ingrained in their opinion of leave or stay, no one is prepared to find that middle ground. And actually if you have a conversation and say, look, this is why I voted to stay, this is why I voted to leave, and then you kind of go, well, actually, I now understand why you voted that. There's too much conflict, and taking it away from politics, it's like life, any business discussion. Whenever I've just been asked potentially at the moment to write and produce a musical concert, and I've said part of it, it's like, I'm more than happy to do this and I'm happy to lead it, but I want to get a team of people and I want to collaborate, and because I could have a really good idea which in my head works, but actually when you try and do it, it doesn't work.
It doesn't translate.
And that's the biggest thing. I think we don't challenge ourselves enough. We don't push ourselves to question our thoughts. We don't challenge ourselves to question our beliefs, and I think it's really important you do that.
I think it comes down to as well, because I talked to a lot of people about this recently actually, about your circle of influence. Having those people around you that don't just kiss your ass and
so
don't just
important.
tell you the right things and don't just appease you and tell you great. Those people that challenge you, that ask you difficult questions, that sort of propel you to change or act or think differently.
Yeah, I love it. I love nothing more when someone comes up to me at an event saying, hope you don't mind, but I just wanted to say this. And I'm like, I don't mind at all, because that's how I get better. It's been a bit weird recently. I've done a couple of gigs where no one's kind of said this guy's rubbish, and I was like, oh, this is good. I hosted the Southampton End of Season Awards the other day, which was a massive thing for me as a Southampton fan. On the inside, I was a little kid. I was jumping around with excitement, and I was like, "Oh my God, I'm presenting the Saints Awards as a Saints fan." It was amazing. So blessed to have that opportunity. And I was kind of expecting social media, who's this idiot presenting this, blah blah blah. And everyone was just so complimentary of the whole evening. And that was what was really nice, because it meant that I'd become part of that team. I'd become part of my football club that I love so much.
It's like that with events, and when you're speaking, you're part of a family.
You are.
They all have it. Like Chris Rees talks about this. He says, 800 volunteers pulled together for the ABP Marathon. They've each got a story, but each story is totally valuable to the whole.
It's one thing that with my job I find really difficult is the recognition part, because obviously when you're fronting something, or you're I guess I even hate talking about it, but like effectively if you put yourself on television, you put yourself in the public eye, you open yourself to criticism, and I'm cool with that. I get that, but I've never done it for being in that public eye bit. So I find it like really, really strange when people are like, oh my God, I'm like, how are you? And I'm like, oh, whoa, okay, yeah, hi. And it's amazing because it's so, when I had someone,
it's a real privilege.
Yeah, I had someone come up to me at the gym
weird.
the other day and was like, oh, you did a really good job with that Saints Awards the other day, and I was like, oh, thank you. And it was amazing to hear that. But for me, I always appreciate the bigger team that put it together. Like Rachel and Tracy, who put the whole event together and put the work in, the sound guys, a bit like doing this today, with the technical side that goes into this. Thanks, Tim. Like for me, I've always had that team ethic. I guess it comes from playing in sport. That you can't achieve a dream, success, goal, put an event on without that team around you. And I've always been very kind of focused on the team and the me rather than the I and me. And it's something I learnt in presenting from Des Lynam. So whenever Des Lynam used to do television and he used to host things, he always used to say us and we. And I do that all the time. There's no I or me, it's us and we. And it's quite funny, and it's very weird because it makes it sound like the book is bigger than it is, because I said, oh yeah, we can sort that out with the book, and they're like, oh cool, you've got a team behind it. And in my head I'm like, no, you've done this all by yourself. You've self-published and you're the only one doing it. You're doing all the publishing, you're doing all the printing, you're doing all the distribution. But I always just think of things as the bigger picture, and that it's bigger than the one individual.
Do you know what it's called? It's called having a visionary mindset.
Is it? You learn something new on Colleagues Getting Coffee. There we go.
Okay, so your book. So what you do a lot of talking around your book as well in schools and stuff. So what are your key takeaways for people watching? So
now we kind of harness in on three major things. So I kind of have this like 3-2-1 philosophy. Is that I've got one kind of massive goal in my life, my 2 materialistic things that I've been after, and my 3 inspirations. So my kind of number 1 goal is happiness, like we've already said. I've got my 2 materialistic goals. I've never been massively into material things. I've just had things that have inspired me, and I guess have been my reward for doing the hard work, and something I've always liked. So I always wanted a watch, and I kind of wish it was like a Casio or like a Baby G-Shock or something, because it would have been a lot less expensive, but I always wanted a Breitling, and worked my backside off, and I bought it for my 28th birthday. So I got that. So that's my one materialistic thing. My other materialistic thing has always been an Aston Martin. So for me, like the Aston was just another goal, and something I was always really conscious of, and it was something that I learned from the watch, which was amazing. That I was really scared that I was going to get the watch and then want the next one. But actually I don't. I wear the watch every single day. Every time I look at it, it reminds me of every second, minute, hour that I sacrificed to achieve the dream. And I go into watch shops all the time, because for me it's like a piece of artwork. They're like investments. I've not bought another one since. My head's not been turned by another one. And I had a similar thing with the Aston, so I still haven't got there yet. I will do eventually. But I'd always had my eye on a 2010, 2012 Vantage. But I was very privileged the other week to take out the brand new one. And again, I had that thought process, I'm going to take this new one out now, and I'm going to want to make that my goal, because like it's really cool and space agey and the interior is amazing. And I got in it and I drove it, and I was like, still want the 2010 and 2012 one, which proved to me even more that the materialistic goal is for me and for no one else. Again, I wish it was something a little bit less expensive. Like, why couldn't it have been a Fiat 500 that I'd always wanted? You know what I mean? That'd have been a much more financially achievable target. But I think it's important to have a couple of things for you that tick a box. And for some people, it doesn't have to be necessarily materialistic, but it could be that they want to go traveling, or they want to see a certain part of the world, or they want to, because I think you have to reward yourself. And it could be holidays. Your little materialistic target could be that I want to go away on holiday every single year to a place I want to tick off on a map. But it's having something for you, not for anyone else, that you want to achieve.
Well, you should treat yourself, shouldn't you?
You should, because we live once, and like I lost my nan a few years ago, and it just taught me so much more that you've got to do what makes you happy. And there's loads of other things that kind of I do to create that happiness as well. But you've got to have a couple of major targets that kind of really focus you in. And then I have my 3 inspirations. So we've got
we're led by one goal, which is happiness.
Which is my happiness.
And then 2 materialistic goals.
It just happens to be that's just part of a 3-2-1 thing, which is kind of works quite nicely, and people like things that are in order.
1, 2, 3.
So there's the goal, which is the happiness. A couple of materialistic things to keep you striving. And again, it doesn't have to be materialistic. It's what you're striving for. And then you have your inspiration. So I've got 3. 1976 FA Cup final. beloved Southampton. We won it. I wasn't born, but hey, I'm very blessed. I've got one of the winners' medals from '76. I've got Dave Peach's medal, and I look at it every single day, and it inspires me. And there's loads of stories that have happened over the years that involve it. So it's very special.
I'm definitely going to do this, by the way, off camera. I'm going to be thinking about what's my one.
Do it. And like for me, you know, the FA Cup final was a massive thing for me, and all because of seeing Dave's medal for the first time when I was 13 and playing football, and that inspired me so much. And then that FA Cup final, I wanted to play in it, and obviously the football career playing stopped. And then a couple of weeks ago I presented the FA Cup final with TalkSport as part of the build-up, so I still got to an FA Cup final. So that inspiration came to a nice little circle that I still managed to get to an FA Cup final. So even though the goal changed, I still made it. My second inspiration is my great-granddad. Never met him, died in 1975, but he won the George Medal in the Second World War, drove into a minefield, risked his life to save another human being. I've got a portrait of him in my bedroom, and I look at it every day, and it reminds me that I've got the freedom to go out and do whatever I want to do, and that if my great-granddad can risk his life to save another person, there's no reason in the world that I should be whinging or complaining about the day I've got coming up. You know, I'm not in a position where I have to, you know, make a subconscious choice to go and risk my own life to save someone else's. And from a human point of view, that my great-grandfather was prepared to risk his life for a stranger, driving into a minefield, I think was amazing. So that's a massive inspiration.
It also comes back to gratefulness, doesn't it? And people say that you should practice gratefulness.
You should,
often.
completely. And the third one's Muhammad Ali. So obviously Ali grew up in a time where racism was ridiculously extreme in America. It's embarrassing for our history if we look back, you know. But he won a gold medal in Rome 1960, came back, tried to get a coffee in his local coffee shop, and someone said, sorry, we don't serve your kind here. Threw his medal in the river, you know, and he was
so sad.
So sad. And then he got drafted for the Vietnam War, and he got done for draft dodging. So he lost his boxing license, he lost the best years of his boxing career, he was sentenced to 5 years in jail, but never served them. But he was prepared to give up his career and his success for a greater cause. You know, he said, if you want me to go fight for you, but you won't even fight for me in my own country and stand up for my own rights. And I think from a humanitarian perspective, you know, what he did and what he achieved from a charitable aspect, from a humanitarian point of view, if I can just make 1% of the impact he did, that really inspires me. So yeah, the inspiration's key. So we talk about that at the start of the talk. So find out what your gift is and what creates your happiness, and you know, what do you want to mark that. And then I talk about having a plan. You know, you've got to have a plan of how you're going to get there. Small steps, medium step, big steps. Work back from the big step, and we kind of fill those in. I give examples of what I did from being here at Eastleigh Football Club to going to Crawley Town, to going to the Premier League, and then being in the studio doing my first show, and then how that process starts again when you get to the big step.
Did you have a really conscious plan then? Yeah. So for people who are wanting to do this, following your footsteps here, did you think, right, strategically, right, this and then this and then this and then maybe exposure, opportunity? Did you just say yes a lot? What
Lots of yeses, and just kind of appreciating that the it's like a river and it ebbs and flows. So there are going to be some things you'll write down that you won't achieve when you necessarily want to achieve them, and they might fall off the radar completely at some point of your journey. But as long as you're still striving towards that end goal, make it like a realistic target is something I always say, that end goal as well. Like my goal wasn't to present Match of the Day on BBC One, it was to be a TV presenter, because it becomes more realistic and there's light at the end of the tunnel. So for me, it's like kind of, I planned each step, and you know, sometimes opportunities come along that you're not expecting to take you to that next level, but every time you get that opportunity, you then break it down. Okay, well, what's my small step, my medium step, and big step, and you have the process. And then the third bit is time, which links into that, because it doesn't happen overnight. You know, you've got to. I think
you have to set realistic goals in terms of time, because people get quite often really frustrated because the dream isn't delivering immediately. But you have to, again, resilience.
Social media.
Sit with that.
Social pressure, and I talk about this in the talk as well, that there is so much pressure on everyone, massively, like younger people as well, that you go on Instagram and everyone's got this straight away. They don't see the hard work. 10 years of hard work for being instant success, they say. You don't see it, and again, it's that challenge in your view perspective, and people are so wrapped up in it and worried what other people think. No, do what makes you happy. If you, I do it in schools. I say, look, if you want to go dye your hair purple tomorrow because it makes you happy, go do it. And the teachers are like, don't do that, you'll get kicked out of school. but I love it as an example. It's like, look, do what makes you happy. If you want to go buy that pair of jeans that everyone says isn't cool, but it makes you happy, go do it. Who cares? And I say to the teachers, I'm like, right, who remembers Bebo? And these kids are like, what the hell's that? And I'm like, that was a big deal when we were younger. Like that was our world. If someone said, oh my God, I don't like your hair on Bebo, it was like, oh, my world's over.
I forgot the word Bebo even existed. That's so funny.
You put that message into these kids, look, time is a massive thing. Like what is important to you now, so won't be important in 10 years time, but you've got to respect that time. And one of the biggest things, and I love doing this about time, is as I say to the people I speak to, you know, how many minutes are there in a year? And if you're a musical fan, you know the answer if you like Rent. 525,600 minutes in a year, right? And it's a great song, by the way, Seasons of Love, it's amazing. But then I break it down, I say, right, that's how many minutes you've got, right? What can you achieve in a minute? And I say, well, 60 seconds, in 1/6 of 60 seconds, Usain Bolt can run 100 meters. Your life can change in a split second, and that's 60 seconds. So I then challenge people, because so many people these days say they haven't got enough time. So I say, if you were to wake up an hour earlier every single day, or you were to go to bed half an hour later, get up half an hour earlier, you generate like 1,680 minutes if you did that every day for 4 weeks. You know, you can create time. So imagine what you can do in 1 minute. Imagine what you can do in 1,680. Okay, you've only got half an hour, halve it. Like that's still a lot of minutes that you can affect change. And I think that's a big thing with time these days. Our time is precious. And I break it into 3. So you can obviously measure time, which is obviously what we like to do and create that. And then like, the creating time is the whole minutes thing. But again, with time, I think one of the biggest lessons you get, and it's something that I like to do with time a lot, is gifting time. It's the most valuable thing you can do. Because when someone gifts you their time, they can never get that back. So for me, gifting my time to go into schools, I don't charge the schools for the talks, I go and do them for free. And for me, gifting that is one of the most valuable things you can do.
I think you're absolutely right, and I think it's about cherishing all of the time that we have. I mean, something like 30,000 days is all we have in our life, typical lifetime. When you think about it like that, you think, oh my God, I have to make every single day count.
Got to. I feel so guilty watching TV. So I'm like massive into my motivational speakers and people like that. And Gary Vee does this whole thing about, you know, why are you wasting your time watching television? You could be watching something. Like learning is so important, and I try and digest at least half an hour every single day of something that I can learn from. And so whenever I sit there, I've just watched like a few episodes of the new series of Riviera, which is amazing. I love all that South of France stuff. And a bit of a history geek, so I'm always watching history stuff, but like Riviera is like a TV show, it's not real. It's not a historical documentary about South of France.
You're going to start referencing it, and they're like, no, wrong.
And I'm just like, oh my God, I sat there last night and watched like 4 episodes, and I was like, felt so guilty. I'm like, why aren't I watching something I'm learning here? But actually, you've got to allow yourself that time. It's balance, it's that balance. But no, you're right, I kind of, it's interesting, isn't it, like using that time.
So obviously we've spoken about you speaking. What would be your top tips then for people who are wanting to maybe be better at public speaking, maybe not on a stage or on TV, but in general life? Like, it's quite a scary thing for people. It's
communication is the most thing. So I remember a tip that I got given when I very first started presenting is pretend you're talking to your best mate. Tommy Boyd said to me, pretend you're talking to your best mate. And I think that's something that I always try and do. When I did the TV stuff, you know, when you're in a TV studio, we were broadcasting to millions of people around the world. But that didn't cross my mind at all. All I was thinking was that I'm communicating someone the other side of that lens who's my best friend, and I want to share with them the story. And I think that's what's really important, like with public speaking, is you've got to, you know, communicate in a way that you would talk. Some people, you know, go for this, hi, welcome along, like, this is going to be great. And they try and put this persona on, but actually you're more believable when you're you. Just yourself, Just be you, and that because you is the most special thing ever. Amazing. What an inspiring person. I try. You're like, I try. I'll make this look easy. I wish it was. Okay, what's your final takeaway? My final takeaway, I would say, look, whatever you want to achieve in life, if you want it bad enough, you can get it. You just got to desire it, dream it, visualize it. It's the most important thing. DDV. Literally, drop that in there. Desire it, dream about it, visualize it. It's my little thing, and it's just so transferable because it isn't just sport related. It's anything. So if you want it bad enough, desire about it, dream about it, visualize it, and you'll make it happen. And your 1, 2, 3s and your plan. 1, 2, 3s, plan, time. All that's available in the book, of course. Well, Desire, Dream, Vision, available at desiredreamvision.com. Which leads me on to how can people find out more about you? So look, social media, I'm not hard to find, just at Michael Kurn on everything, and then at Desire Dream Vision as well on social media, which is cool. But yeah, no, like all joking aside, like with the book and stuff, you know, if it is of interest and you want to find out more about the talk and everything like that, you know, reach out to me on social media, or desiredreamvision.com is where you can order the book, and you know, you can find out more. Amazing.
Thank you for bringing your warm beverage and joining us.
I did.
Today.
I've enjoyed the warm beverage, although we've talked so much, it's gone a bit cold, but I don't mind cold green tea, so it's all right.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
No worries.